Today I want to talk about one emotion that adult children of alcoholics have very much in common, or adult children that come from other types of dysfunctional families, and that emotion is guilt. One of the things that is very interesting to me about guilt, this was kind of a game changer when I heard about it, or actually when I read about it, is that guilt is anger turned inwards. So I read this in one book about gestalt therapy, and it basically says that when you are as a kid angry at your parents because they're not giving you what you want, what you need, it happens that, especially if you were growing up in dysfunctional family where anger from your side was not allowed, they were allowed to be angry, they guilt tripped you for being angry. Like, why are you behaving this way? We are giving you everything you need. Or why are you always so needy? Why can't you just stop? Like, blah blah blah. It's not safe to be angry at them because they blame you, they may even hit you. So you turn this emotion of anger inwards and you start blaming yourself, and you're feeling guilty for having needs, for having desires, for wanting things. And then it happens that later in life, when you want something, you immediately start feeling guilty. I was researching guilt for such a long time because it was one of my dominant emotion. I was trying to find myself therapeutic help about 10, about 9 years ago. I was trying to find myself therapeutic help because of guilt, because I felt so guilty around my mom all the time. I felt like a total failure, like I totally disappointed her, even though I was a young entrepreneur doing my best, hustling all the time, putting in the work. I felt like a total failure, and like my mother is upset with me. And even though maybe a little bit of it was true, there was this big emotional damage from the childhood
Emotional damage.
when she was guilt tripping me before, and where my other family members were guilt tripping me, where I was not allowed to express my anger and say the things I want, even though I said them. But there's this mix where I said things and I was confident and I was showing up as myself, but there were also so many times when I was guilt tripped because of it and made feel bad about being vocal and having opinions and wanting things. When you have all this guilt internalized, you're afraid of asking for what you want, and you're afraid of setting boundaries, and you're afraid of when someone is exploiting you, you are afraid of saying, stop, I don't like this, stop, you are behaving like a total asshole to me right now. You're afraid of doing this because you're afraid of someone blaming you, or someone guilt tripping you, or someone turning it around and saying that they behave like this because you are I don't know what. So you just try to do your best to be even better, to do more so that others don't find faults with you, to do more so that they don't attack you. But what happens is that they start treating you like a doormat, and there's even more emotional turmoil inside. Like, you feel again angry, and then you feel guilty and you feel like shit. So it's this very heavy cycle. And what helped me a lot around guilt, like nowadays there's still some residue guilt that I feel, but it's nothing comparing to what I felt back in times. It was really huge. So what really helped me was I was doing Joe Dispenza meditations. I still do them sometimes. I'm on and off with them, but it's not necessary that you do Joe Dispenza meditations. But the practice that I had along with meditation was I focused for 1 month on guilt. I was meditating around guilt, and I was journaling the moments where I feel guilty. And I was also drawing. You know that I love drawing. It's so useful to draw emotions, like the little doodles of what you feel inside. They don't have to be pretty, just they have to be expressive. And I did this for a month, and I noticed all the little moments when I feel guilt, and I wrote about them and I drew them or just had awareness of them. After doing this for a month, it helped me now for years after. So I really recommend that you do this. And this, what I said, that comes from Gestalt therapy, that guilt is anger turned inwards. Become really aware when you feel guilt. If you're feeling guilty because someone made you feel guilty, because you wanted to express anger or stop treating me this way, because you wanted to set boundaries, it's really a big thing in the type of household where there's alcoholism, addictions, or other types of dysfunction, that if you try to set boundary, that someone will totally guilt trip you. Anger is the emotion that helps you set boundary. It says, don't behave like this towards me. I deserve better. And in this type of household, when you stood up for yourself, someone tried to destroy you. Who do you think you are? You ungrateful little whatever. Why do you behave like this? What's wrong with you? We give you everything you need. And then your boundaries, your protection gets lowered, and you really try to do your best, to be your best, so that people don't attack you, and you don't have this boundary up, you don't have this anger up, and it's even turned inwards. It's automatically, it turns inward, and you start feeling guilty for having these thoughts that they're treating you badly, and you, instead of being angry and setting up a boundary, you start to feel like, oh, they are probably having really hard time in their life and that's why they behave this way. You go into compassion and finding excuses for them behaving this way. And part of this is nice. It's nice to be compassionate and all of this, but not at the expense of yourself. When someone is having hard time and they're attacking you, I have this more vivid example, like if someone had a really hard life and they're, like, for example, in a wheelchair, or they are retarded in some way. Am I allowed to use the word retarded? I mean, they are disabled, like really disabled, and they sexually attack you and they try to rape you, and you would just keep up with that because they're having really hard time in their life. Would you do this? No, it's not right. So you have to have a boundary. So it's the same when people verbally attack you. It's okay to have a boundary. It's okay to say, stop, don't behave towards me this way. You don't have to feel guilty because you don't have it so hard in your life as them and take all the shit they throw on you. No, stop. You're allowed to feel angry to set a boundary. Anger is good when you use it for your good, when you use it to protect yourself. And the more you own it and the more you feel this healthy anger when it is necessary, the less intense it gets in some way. So then when you have to set a boundary, it's just no, or I'm not gonna do this, or ask someone else, or like it's this calm way. At some point it doesn't even feel like stating a boundary, it's just like stating your preferences. I hope this was helpful. This was kind of freestyle, so yeah, see you in the next video.